Imagine you were born with a great musical ability and you were able to harness that talent to forge a successful career. How would you feel if that livelihood and perhaps even your life was threatened?
At that time I was washing my hands and then my hand starts becoming numb.
That's what confronted a renowned jazz musician again last year when he discovered he had a brain tumor.
The doctor over there in Joburg said there's a 50% chance of me being paralyzed.
What's more, he would need to be awake and play guitar during the surgery to remove it.
I could hear the bone flap being put into place.
This is Musa Manzini's remarkable story. Musa Manzini was born in Inanda, KwaZulu-Natal in 1971. He enjoyed a typical upbringing until his seminal teenage years where he fell in love with music for the first time.
I remember high school, I asked the old man to buy me a guitar, and he said only on conditions that you pass all the subjects with a distinction. So I did that and the old man bought me a guitar and that's how it started.
Musa's older sister Tembi remembers her brother's passion for music with great fondness.
At the very early stage, Musa was passionate about music. When he plays, it becomes somebody else that I don't know. He's very good.
Musa studied a musical degree at university before embarking on a successful career becoming a renowned jazz bassist. Over the years, he has played with some of South Africa's best musicians, toured the world and released several acclaimed albums.
Music has taken me all over the world and music has blessed me with success.
By the mid-2000s, Musa was on top of the world, but then the rug was pulled out from under him.
It was 2006. I just come back from a jazz festival. Next thing, my head sort of tilted to the left and I got a grand mal seizure. Apparently, I bit my tongue. I didn't know. The next thing I woke up, I was in hospital. And the doctor said, there's a tumor in your brain. This tumor is a benign tumor. It's slow-growing, unpredictable kind of tumor. I saw different doctors, and then after that, I was happy with Dr. Wasserman at Wilgejevel Hospital.
I was very shocked. You know what? Something that is in the brain is very scary. But the first operation went very smooth, and then we had a hope that it won't come again.
Then in 2013, I did another MRI and Dr. Wasserman said I have to have another operation. He said the tumor had recurred.
Following the removal of the second tumor, Musa made the decision to leave South Africa and settle in Indonesia, hoping that the change of lifestyle would prevent the tumor from recurring.
My wife really didn't want me to have another operation. And so she said, let's rather go to Indonesia and live a simple life. For the 4 years that I was there, it seems that it didn't work because the tumor recurred.
Having spent 4 years living abroad, Musa felt the call of home. It was whilst working as a music teacher at UKZN that he noticed a numbness in his left hand.
I decided to do an MRI. And then the MRI revealed that there was a solid mass there on my right parietal lobe. In fact, it was so huge that it was pressing on the left hemisphere. The left hand became clumsy in terms of response when I was playing my bass guitar.
And worse news was to follow. When Musa's medical aid refused to pay for another operation, it meant that his only alternative was to approach a government hospital for help.
Musa was supposed to be operated in Joburg, and 123, the medical aid let us down.
They said I have to be on a waiting list for 12 months for pre-existing conditions.
I was very scared. I also told him that, hey, but I don't trust these government hospitals.
It was extremely disheartening. You feel like you're going to die. I mean, I didn't have a choice then because either this thing is going to kill me or I must try other options.
Their fears about having to turn to a government hospital for help were allayed when they met the excellent neurosurgical team of Dr. Basil Enneker and Dr. Rowan Harichan Prasad at Inkosi Albert Luthuli Central Hospital in Durban.
What was unique about Musa's case was his background as a professional musician and our concern regarding his ability to preserve his function of making music, particularly his motor function in his left hand because of the relation of where the tumor was.
If you look at the brain is separated into different regions, what is called the lobes. When we did an MRI, we found this tumor to be in the frontal lobe, right where we'll call the motor cortex.
So we decided that the best option for him to preserve his motor function would be to do an awake craniotomy.
At first, he was quite surprised and alarmed by it because he was new to the idea, but his anxiety was allayed by the counseling that we gave to him and the research that he did.
Operating on such a sensitive part of the brain is a delicate procedure, where the slightest error could affect Musa's ability to play music. This is why they chose to perform an awake craniotomy.
There's a number of different areas which have to be working together, which enables somebody to produce music. So the advantage of an awake craniotomy is that it gives us the ability to test real time the patient's functions. What was unique about Musa's case was that we asked him to play the guitar during the procedure.
Well, that was scary. You're hearing all those sounds inside your brain is exposed. And for me, it sounded like blowtorches inside my head.
Once the patient is fully awake, we stimulate with a tiny electrical current different parts of the brain, and then we're able to map out the motor cortex. So it gives us real-time feedback to know which areas are critical to preserve and which areas we can safely remove of the tumor.
You need to concentrate when you're playing music, and it was very, very difficult because I'm drugged. There was a time where they triggered the brain with electrodes or electrical impulses, and the hand sort of jerked and started moving on its own. But that part was a bit scary.
In total, the procedure took us about 6 hours, and Musa was awake for the latter 4 hours of the procedure.
Once they woke me up, they kept me awake all the way until the end. I could hear the bone flap being put into place. I never slept all the way until I was in ICU.
Following the 6-hour procedure, the doctors declared the operation a success.
We're quite happy. The procedure went fairly well. We were able to remove safely 90% of the tumor. We've done progress imaging that showed a very good result. He's got good use of his hand, so we're quite pleased with the success of the operation.
Remarkably, less than a week after major brain surgery, he was allowed to go home to his sister's house in Richards Bay, where he spent the last month recovering.
It's really amazing. Everyone was expecting that Musa by now will be also lying in bed, sick, being nursed, paralyzed maybe. And here is Musa is doing everything for himself.
It can be frustrating at times because the hand is clumsier, but I know over time it's going to get back to where it was. And I think a lot of people should start trusting public health. There are people out there who are dedicated. They put a team together, and here I am still alive.
And next month, Musa is going to start at work. How amazing is that?
The last few months have certainly been eventful for Musa Manzini. Not only has he survived brain surgery, but he was able to provide a soundtrack to one of the most remarkable days of his life. Now, well on the road to recovery, what does he take away from what has been an extraordinary journey?
You know, surviving this operation has given me another perspective in life, things that I took for granted. You know, I appreciate just waking up, just looking at the trees, because I've been given another chance in life.
Whether the tumor returns remains to be seen, but for now, Musa remains positive, taking one day at a time and living by the maxim that it's the simple things in life that are the most extraordinary.